Who the fuck did I marry? Who the fuck did I marry?
In this chapter, Reesa is still talking about the background of the family. She says that his grandmother passed away in late April, early May from COVID. And then 3 weeks later, he had an uncle that passed away, which made him a real stickler for being careful about COVID, wearing your gloves and masks. She says he was devastated when his grandmother passed away. He wouldn't stop crying. He wouldn't eat. He would just listen to music, and he was very, very depressed. She then goes on to talk about his sister, Shantae, who was a nurse. And she says he asked her several times to go and meet his sister, at least 3 times. And each time, because of COVID, she wasn't able to go. And finally, there came a time when she said yes, and they were on a way to a barbecue at his sister's house. And then she says that he claims that his phone vibrated. He picked up the phone, and it was Shantae calling, saying that something had come up and they would have to cancel the barbecue. Legion continues by telling her more about his ex-wife. He says that they were friends at first, they dated, and then they got married. He used the money from arena football to buy them a very nice home. He showed her pictures of the home, the inside and the outside of the home in San Diego, and it was very nice. The way they broke up, he claims that he came home early from work and found his wife in bed with another man. He and the man had a fight. He kicked the man out the house and kicked his wife out the house. But he did let her 2 children stay. She notes that the son was 17 at the time, and they sided with Legion and stayed with him until their mother got a place. Then he says he filed for divorce in California, and it was a contested divorce at first, and then it became amicable because he offered to help with the children during divorce, and it became cordial. He then, 2 years later, got an offer to move to Georgia with his job, and he took it. He has stayed in contact with the kids, and that he helped them a lot. She said he talked to them on the phone often, and especially with the teenager, that he would help him with his homework via the phone. And he also sent them money. In April of 2020, he announced to Reesa that his ex-wife and the 2 children had moved to Georgia. And it was a big concern because she says that he'd said that every now and then that he would text and talk to her. They did have an argument because he told his ex-wife that Reesa had miscarried a baby, and she felt like that was none of his ex-wife's business. Now, she really emphasizes in this part to keep in mind that Legion says that he met his wife in California, married his wife in California, divorced her in California, and then she later moved to Georgia. In August, Nisa did get a car, but she got it on her own. Fortunately, Legion was in a position to be able to help her with the down payment on it. But she says she still was disappointed because she wanted that BMW, and she was bitter that they still didn't have a house. Fall was coming, the holidays were coming, and she said that she was just tired. They did find another house for $700,000. They put in an all-cash offer. Scott, the realtor, said that the sellers were interested in selling them the house. They just wanted proof of funds. Legion would not provide the proof of funds, and that house, it fell through too. Now, she says that while all this was happening, she was doing those audio recordings, and she knew that she needed to end everything as she listened back to it. But she said there were 3 reasons that she did not end it. Number 1, she didn't want to be alone. Number 2, she didn't want to be stupid because she'd invested so much time and energy in this love story, and all of her family and everybody knew about it. And number 3, she was ready to get married. In this next part, Reesa talks a lot about Legion's finances. And she talks about how she knew that he had a salary of $200,000 because she'd seen it. And then in November, around Thanksgiving, they had this real heart-to-heart talk, a come-to-Jesus talk, where he came to her and said that he loved her, he wanted to be with her, and what did she need from him to show that he was serious? And she said, I need to see your finances. He showed her the Chase account, but he didn't show her any other accounts, but there was money in the Chase account. And so from there, she began to believe in him again and said that in January, they could once again start looking for another home. At that time, she said that she was still intoxicated by the fact that he was paying all the bills. And with this new car that she had gotten, he was paying the note on it. Reesa says they both came from religious backgrounds, and so both of their families were concerned about them getting married. In December, they decided to get married, so they went and got their marriage license. And filling out the application, they had to both put their social security number down. Legion stated that he'd been married once. She stated she'd not been married. She did make a note of his social security number and then tried to track that social security number to do a background check on it, and the number came up unfounded. She couldn't find anything. But she did the second best thing. She did a background check on him. The background check came up clean. And so therefore she proceeded with the marriage. They got married on January the 5th, which was a Tuesday. And she says they went, bought some wings and went home, and she got up and went to work the next day. The next day, friends at work congratulated for her getting married. And on the next day, she went and changed her last name. She says she was fully in this marriage to win. Now, after Reesa got married, something she says changed within their marriage, that he started acting a bit bizarre. That he got to the point to where he wouldn't touch her. He didn't want to be intimate with her anymore, and she was confused by that. And another thing, he started getting very suspicious and being accusatory of her and being jealous-hearted. Before all of this starts to happen in January, Legion, she could almost set her alarm clock by the fact that he would be home every day between 3:30 and 4:30. But when he started to look for the house with his friend Scott, he started coming home later and later because he was supposedly out looking for a new home for them. It started at 4 o'clock, then he'd be home 5, then 6, sometimes 7 p.m. before he would get home. In January, she just says that everything just changed, as she said earlier. And he started creating the story about her neighbor, who was a woman, saying that the woman was flirting with him. She lived next door, that she was saying inappropriate things. And then he started talking about the woman having various men coming in and out. And so Reesa was just over it. So she said, you know what, my lease is up in August, and come hell or high water, I'm moving out. You can come with me or you can't, was her attitude. Then he gave her some money to go get her nails done. And while she was at the salon, he sent her a message claiming that a man had come by the house in a black Dodge Charger. When she got home to ask him more about it, he says that the man seemed that he had been there before because he backed up into the driveway. And then when he came out and asked him how he could help him, the man claimed that he was looking for Reesa Teesa, using her real name. And when he said that she wasn't there, he said the man just jumped back in the Dodge Charger, got in the car, and drove away.